We loved Mickey 17. Can't wait to hear about it. But first, we have a question for both of you. What is your desert island movie?
I'm not really sure. I think the movie I probably watched the most in my life is probably Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I was obsessed when I was a teenager. I think I've watched it so many times I never really get bored of it.
Yeah, so Benicio was amazing in that.
Yeah.
Maybe you know the director John Boorman, who directed the classic movie Deliverance. 그 사람이 만든 Hell in the Pacific이라는 리 마빈하고 토시로 미분에 나오는 영화. 그게 재밌어요. 2차 대전 때 섬 얘긴데.
So it's called Hell in the Pacific with Lee Marvin, and it's about World War II.
Yeah.
All right, Rob, your accent in Mickey as Mickey's incredible. Can you talk about what were the steps of figuring it out, discovering it, and how you got there?
There was something about just continuously dying and not really knowing what was happening to you, but it felt like there was something cartoony, like it was like Tom and Jerry or something, and I started thinking like, oh, kind of the delineation, the differentiation between Mickey 17 and 18 kind of felt a little bit like Ren and Stimpy to me, and I was kind of trying to experiment with these like cartoony voices. And I did one really extreme one, which I hadn't showed to anyone, and we did a read through. And Bong's like, I don't think that's going to work. So it's a kind of toned down version of the crazy one.
We loved it. We thought it was perfect as fans of the novel. Now, director Bong, you could have done anything after Parasite, I think. What drew you to the Mickey 7 novel to make Mickey 17?
일단 사이파이 장르라는 것도 있고 그 휴먼 프린팅이란 컨셉트도 너무 재밌고. 근데 프린팅되는 그 미키라는 캐릭터, 그 사랑스럽고 엉뚱하지만 좀 불쌍하기도 하고 그 캐릭터 자체가 저를 매혹시켰어요. 그래서 랍이 그 역할을 해주게 돼서 너무나 저는 고맙고 행운인데 미키라는 미키 바운스라는 캐릭터 자체가 저를 되게 매혹시켰죠. 네.
Of course, Mickey 7, it's in the sci-fi genre, and it has this really fascinating concept of human printing, but it was really all about the character of Mickey Barnes that would be printed out of the printer. You know, how endearing and quirky and kind of pathetic this character is. I was really captivated by this, and I was very thankful, and it was totally my fortune to have Rob play this character.
All right, Rob, you're playing two characters in multiple scenes, same scenes. Is there something you're doing before it takes to tap into Mickey 17 versus Mickey 18?
I mean, we tried to do all this stuff with the look of the character at the beginning in the prep period, but the difficult thing about it is like they look too difficult to the other people on the spaceship, or in on the other planet, it would be pretty obvious that it was a different dude. So we kind of tried things with different ears and different hairstyles, and nothing really seemed to make any sense, and we went more and more minimal until it was just, there's this tiny little snaggle tooth, which 18 has, and it's so, you barely notice it, but the second I put that thing on, like it made you just move your head slightly differently, and it was just as easy as that.
It's like pressing a button.
It's literally like pressing a button.
Director Bong, can you explain the camera work and visual effects for filming two Robs in the same frame with other characters interacting with them?
그 되게 복잡했어요. 그 나보다는 사실 비주얼 이펙트 슈퍼바이저가 더 자세히 얘기해 줄 수 있는데 왜 그런 거 있잖아요. 우리가 운전은 잘하지만 자동차 본네트를 열면 그 다음부터는 모르는 그런 거 있잖아요. 본네트를 연 후에는 우리 그 VFX 슈퍼바이저가 자세히 설명해 줄 수 있는 그런 영역인데. 네.
So it was incredibly complicated. Honestly, I feel like my VFX supervisor would be able to explain more in detail. It's kind of like when you're driving a car, you can be a good driver, but once you open the bonnet, you have no idea what's going on.
근데 그 특히 미키 17하고 18이 이렇게 어깨 동무하면서 둘이 이렇게 있는 거 있어요. 17, 18 가슴에 쓰고. 그렇게 몸에 접촉이 있는 그 서로 인터랙션이 있는 그 제일 복잡하거든요. 그거 찍을 때 이제 정말 고민도 많이 했고. 이제 저도 머릿속이 되게 복잡했었는데 랍이 아마 제일 더 복잡했을 거예요. 머릿속이. 직접 양쪽을 다 연기해야 되니까. 예.
The most particular scenes were when 17 and 18 would interact with each other and come into close contact. There's a particular scene where they're kind of shirtless. They have 17 and 18 written on their chests, and they have their arms around each other. That scene was really the most complicated one to shoot. I had a lot of things to think about, but I feel like it was even more complicated for Rob because he would have to play imagining being side by side.
마일드 미키, 하바네로 미키.
Was there a double that you had to help choreograph for those?
Yeah, we had this great guy called Sam, who I think was his first job out of drama school, and it's like high pressure, and especially kind of because he had to. It was really difficult for him because he had to watch what I was doing in every take and kind of try and remember, like, because he kind of had to do an impersonation of what I was doing. But then every take I'm kind of doing it differently. So he's literally like, he's kind of we're having to follow in a very close pace.
Yeah, he did a great job.
He was great, yeah. He was really, really good. And it was kind of fun doing it. To have that to be your first experience out of drama school as well, it must be like, what? Like,
All right, Rob, if you could be a multiple, would you want to be? Why or why not?
we probably are already. We're probably in a simulation.
Possible. Well, we're
Very deep.
multiples.
Yeah. Oh my God. Why did that was literally.
We saved that one. We saved it.
Dude, that actually scared me. Like.
Director Bong, what was your goal with the design and look of the film to disassociate it from other science fiction designed films?
그 세트 디자인 같은 거 말하면
이런 디자인의 전략.
뭐 프로덕션 디자이너 그 피오나 크롬비라는 우리 뛰어난 아티스트와 얘기를 많이 나눴는데 이 그 랍이 계속 프린팅되는 그 랩이 있어요. 그 휴먼 프린터가 있는 거기가 제일 약간 사이파이스러워요. 약간 팬시한 사이파이 영화 같은 느낌이 있고 다른 공간들은 되게 거칠고 구질구질하고 약간 더러운 공장이나 화물선 느낌 같은 식으로 거칠게 가는 그런 공간 속에 이제 주로 이제 랍이나 이제 나옴이나 많은 인물들이 그런 공간을 왔다 갔다 하죠.
So I had a lot of conversations with our great production designer Fiona Crombie, and there's the lab with the human printer where we see Rob getting printed, and that's kind of the only fancy sci-fi space that you see in the film. The rest of the spaceship is quite rough, gritty, and it kind of resembles like a filthy factory or a cargo ship, and that's where most of our characters roam about.
물론 큰 스케일이 있고 플리터라는 되게 복잡한 탈 것도 나오고 프로덕션의 어떤 규모들이 있죠. 그렇지만 되게 인간적인 느낌이에요. 이렇게 그 팬시한 사이파이에 나오는 무조건 예쁘기만 하는 그런 느낌이 아니라 되게 사실적이고 그런 투박한 실제 세계의 느낌을 갖고 거기에 이제 이 리얼한 인물들이 들어가 있는 거죠.
So of course the film has scale and we see all these great vehicles like the flitters and there's a lot of production value in the film, but it's quite human. It's not just fancy or just aesthetic. We see quite realistic spaces that are at times crude and we have very real characters roaming about there.
캐릭터도 좀 구질구질하게 나오는데 공간도 만만치 않아. 더 구질구질한 공간들이 많이 있어.
So we see some pretty gritty characters, but it's really the space doesn't fall behind on the grittiness of it all.
Rob, how does it feel to die over and over again?
It's great. I'm still getting over this. This is
I think
literally,
it made you think you're in the Matrix. For
it's
real.
literally it's kind of like when everyone says Superman, like kind of it's like how can no one know who Superman is when he has glasses on? It's like
It worked.
I
we
guess
can
it
take a
worked.
photo after
It's
too.
crazy. How does it feel? I mean, it's kind of like it didn't. It's an unusual because there's only really one or two scenes where Mickey's even kind of aware of something bad happening to him, or even like you get to play like this is pretty awful what's happening, right? Because all the other times, and I guess like that's probably how most people, you know, if you get your like, you know, if you just explode all of a sudden, like it's like you're probably not thinking too much about it. I think the interesting thing about Mickey is it's kind of the story to me is kind of about him realizing what it is to be alive and having, you know, I think a lot of people have this situation where you feel blocked in your agency and like how you want to live your life and thinking like I can't kind of expand beyond my station and you know it's like I've just got to accept the way things are. And Mickey is just so blocked he has to literally die like 17 times before he realizes like, oh, you know, maybe I can have a shred of self-respect.
Love it. That's all for our time. It was a pleasure.
Thanks
you
a
so
lot.
much.
Cheers.
Nice
Thanks
to
a
meet
lot.
you.
Nice to meet you too. Cheers. Thank you.